Greetings everyone, my name is Etterville, and welcome to my Let's Try of Bossgard, a casual 1v5 asymmetrical party brawler in development by Sailor Studio. I'll be spending at least 30 minutes on this title, giving my first impressions along the way. For full disclosure, I received a key from the developer through Keymailer in order to try out this title. I'll start off by going through both of the tutorials. First the Viking one and then the boss one. Basic movement, dodging, and attacking. For this tutorial, we start out with a melee focused Viking.
For glory!
And to use a rage ability, we need to keep attacking and hitting the boss.
For glory!
Good luck pulling off combos in single player with the bots, unless they're on the smarter side here. So we both have rage attacks and abilities. This Viking's ability is an auto turret. My character isn't dying here. Yeah, I think I glitched out this section. Remember, this game is currently in early access, so there are going to be some issues with some of the design. Now I can revive properly. Hopefully that can be fixed in a future update. But every time I respawn, I take out some of the lives on the life counter on the top right. And if I run out of lives, it's game over. So time to face off against this giant bread boss. Each of us is weaker than the boss individually, but together we can defeat it. Assuming the AI is smart enough though. So we have at least 3 melee units and 2 ranged units. On the top left is the boss's health bar, its own rage meter, and its own set of abilities. Each Viking's ability is pretty powerful. I mean, look at my dual sword ability here. I'm just tearing through the boss's health bar. Phase 1 done, on to the second phase, where the bread gets a lot more demonic. We're doing pretty well here.
For glory!
Okay, that's an instant dead attack. And we're down to 0 lives. And once I die, my rage ability and cooldowns are reset. Well, that went badly. At first it went by pretty well, then in the second phase we ended up dying. Let's try this again. Oh, this is screwed up. Let's try this again. My lives were still at 0 and the boss's health bar was below max. I'm thankful that we can skip past to each chapter of the tutorial. That's good design. Hopefully that's fixed in the future update as well. The core gameplay loop seems fun. Though for a beginner player, it seems to be easier to play as the boss.
For glory!
And these pieces of bread, if they get too close to you, they will explode. And I can't see where the boss is going to attack next. See that indicator? That skull icon? Skull circle? Dodging an attack is really hard to do, and because we only have 10 spare lives by default, that's only 2 full revives for the entire party. I don't think we're gonna win this. Something else this tutorial forgot to point out is that in order to start facing the enemy minions, right-click. Well, I'm dead. Like I said, as a beginner, it feels like it's easier to play as the boss. So now let's try out the tutorial for the boss. After all, that's the other half of the game. I can either move this reticule using the mouse or WASD. It seems I can't move by default with this boss. Just like with the Vikings, in order to fill out the rage meter, I need to attack and hit the enemies. If I'm dead on, I can two-shot them. Slow going for the rage meter, but it makes sense, as the boss's rage attack is pretty damaging. It can one-shot almost all the Vikings. So we have 3 abilities outside of the rage one. Dispel all damage over time effects and other debuffs.
Sickness.
Press E to activate all the traps in the current arena. In this case, flamethrower turrets. Deal quite a bit of damage per hit, but I presume you can roll through it. And press R to regenerate some amount of HP. However, the cooldown times for each of those abilities are notably higher than most of the Vikings. Time to play as the boss.
3, 2, 1, fight!
I can hit them in mid-dodge. Got the archer. They should really stay farther away from me. I'm thankful that this red boss didn't use a melee attack as much during my previous run, as this is surprisingly fast when it goes down. Then again, if I'm playing against actual human players, they'll be able to see where I'm placing the reticule. She can't keep dodging forever. My minions got her. Yeah, this was a lot easier than playing as the Viking. I think you got the idea, so let's move on to the actual game itself. We have a selection of 10 characters to play as. By default, I was playing as Magnus, the Great Sword Wielder. And we can also customize each character with different colors, helmets, shoulders, weapons, and back flags in the final game. Right now, these tabs are empty. So let's see the rest. So, Magnus is the Danish Viking. Duke is the American Viking. Maxim is the Slavic Viking. Ziggy is the Jamaican Viking. Ines is the French Viking. Asha is the Canadian Viking. Edith is the British Viking. Brunhilde is the German Viking, a bit clumsy here. And Miko is the Japanese Viking. Last but not least is Krampus, the Celestial Viking. Out of the world. So he's basic DPS. Increased mobility for abilities. Tanking, I guess. Damage over time effects and debilitating the boss. So like a Beastmaster, as well as Ranger. Auto turret, she was the engineer. Necromancer, I didn't expect to see a Necromancer. Even a Bard, Battle Bard, that's neat. A machine gun user with a crossbow, interesting. And battle axe user. So we have plenty of variety in terms of roles and weaponry, and each character isn't exactly the same or clones. What's Valhalla? Ah, a giant world map. In this viewpoint, this game feels like an adventure title. I see, we need to gain more favor with this specific deity. And to do this, I think we need to defeat some bosses. Let's run a quick match. Olaf of Bread. In a way, this intro screen feels like a MOBA. We had different heroes with different abilities, although the bosses had the most variety in terms of that way. Let's keep it at Olaf of Bread for now, but there are 4 other bosses currently. And we can set the difficulty as well. I'll turn it down... Oh, there is no intermediary, just low, medium, high. But I'm really thankful that this game has access to bosses in case the online scene dries up. I would play online right now, but I couldn't really find any games. Let's pick Coffee. This game is going for a much more silly feel. This game has a lower poly but higher detail feel. All the environments feel colorful and distinct. I would like if the green circle at the start of every match was a lot more apparent. It's kind of hard at the beginning to see where your character is. The same with respawning, actually. Oh, and I forgot, you can actually change your rage abilities. Currently I have access to a shield. Going pretty well, but that can change really fast. That was surprisingly easier. It's because I got 2 autogun turrets, that's why. Miko. We got double Miko. We even have MVPs. And each of them hates a different deity. Idan, Freya, Loki, a deadly dice, a giant plunger, I don't know why he hates Thor, and some sort of fortress. So let's fight the jackhammer next. Now in space. There's a reason why this last try is going to be over 30 minutes long. I'm going to fight against all the 5 bosses, and then I'm going to play as all the 5 bosses. Next time I'm gonna be playing as a different Viking, at least get their time to shine. Do they have their own stats too, like different stat distributions, or are their health pools about the same? Like, do different melee and range units have different attack speeds? Probably. This boss moves a lot faster than the bread. In fact, this can move without using its rage attack. Turning into a killdozer now. At least it doesn't one-shot you like the bread. Each base attack doesn't deal that much damage per hit, but it's the special abilities and rage attacks which can really deal a lot of damage. This time I got the most damage dealt. Still doing the worst here. I'm gonna have to play as Miko next. Oh, and that's to get the upgrades, but unfortunately, each of the favors are split between each character. I guess that's how you get meta progression, and that's how you get different skills. Outfits, I mean. Before I start my next match, let's check out the custom game settings. I can change up the bosses available for selection, same with Vikings, rage abilities, and the lineup. I can fine-tune the Viking stats and boss stats. For the Vikings, it's the health, number of lives, ability cooldown, and rage buildup. Same with the bosses, with the exception that now I can fine-tune when stage 2 starts. I like that we can fine-tune the stats here. I wish more asymmetric games had this. It helps make up for the skill differences. I can also set the AI difficulties. I'll keep it at default right now, as well as selection of maps. Currently in the game, there is a selection of 10 maps. Let's see, let me increase the number of lives to 11, just to be safe. It'll make the game a bit easier for me, but I want to see the other bosses. So let's see, I'm gonna play as Miku. Her special ability is really powerful. And sure, let's face off against Fortress. Toyland, I guess. It seems Miku's health pool is a lot smaller than what I expected it to be. Then again, she is a ranged unit. And this boss can keep respawning these rocks. Then again, Fortress having a lot of health may be its own gimmick, as it seems to be completely immobile. Okay, this boss battle is much harder than before. We're dying everywhere, and I can't even charge up my ability. Yeah, I'm dead. Our setup was bad. Unlike before, this went rather poorly. We need more damaging. And so the MVP is the boss, of course. For this game, you really need a balanced lineup of your Vikings.
That's epic, bro!
Check it out, man. Watch me.
Let's check Valhalla. And the main trap here is that the boss can spawn a Stone Guardian. Some of these boss and arena combinations are easier for the Vikings to defeat. So these stone defenses are specific to this boss type, not the arena itself.
Sickness!
Here's my minigun. It is a bit more inaccurate though. With double Miku, it's super powerful actually. Yeah, this boss is not working out for Miku. I'll try finding a different boss after this. We really need a better party setup. As I said, certain boss and arena combinations are more difficult for certain lineups of Vikings to defeat. Now to the evil dice. But hey, this is still in early access, so some of the bosses being more difficult than the other ones can be ironed out in future updates. And this boss has a unique movement pattern because it moves like a dice, so it can only move in 4 cardinal directions. And this boss seems a lot less dangerous compared to the previous one, and it deals a lot less damage than it feels like it should. I guess it's because it's harder to dodge its attacks. An AI player smartly did not spawn in while its attack was still going. Even though the player AI is being listed as smart right now, this feels like what the default should be. I think we lost this. The boss rage attacks, especially some of them, if you don't play with other players, dodging them can be a problem. Like for this one, to dodge it, you need to split up into groups, like stand in different sides of the arena. It's because of this I feel like the default number of lives you should start out with as a Viking should be 15, or 20. Because as a newbie, and playing with the AI, it feels more biased towards the See, I'm still enjoying this experience. Some of these big issues I've been mentioning about balance, they seem to be a pretty common trend across all asymmetric games.
2, 1, fight!
Okay, I'm getting stun locked. That's not fun. See, there's no way to get out of it if it decides to do that. There should be a way to at least break out of it. Of course, its boss rage attack is to suck us in. Its most dangerous attack is when it decides to keep moving around the place. Demonic plunger form. If it stays still, it becomes a lot easier. I do like how the bosses have secondary phases, but you need to be prepared for them. But I survived, but I lost quite a bit of lives. That's why I say the base life total should be at least 15 or 20. But then again, this is kind of like a MOBA, so your team composition should be based upon what the boss player chooses. Alright, this time I'm going to be playing as the bosses. Again, I want to say I'm enjoying this experience, but you have to have a group of human players to really enjoy this experience. I do like how we have access to bots in case the online scene inevitably dies, but still. By this point, you know if you'll enjoy this game or not. It is a simpler party brawler game, and if you're playing as the Vikings, it's fairly easy to pick up and play. Even the number of abilities you have access to is on the lower side. Plus, you can fine-tune the player abilities so you can make up for differently skilled players. Dodging this attack seems almost impossible. It seems almost like a total party kill. And the other reason why I was having difficulties when playing as the lone Viking is that no one had shields. That was a close one. Even though their number of lives are much lower now, The AI is still on the better side. Compared with other asymmetric games, the fact that you can fine-tune the stats at this level makes it feel like it's gonna have a longer lifespan.
What's going on, man?
Alright, time to play as Fortress and see how powerful it is. I'll play one more round after this with the Dice Boss, and then I'll give my final thoughts. Remember, this game is currently in early access, and there are a bunch of bugs already showcased during this Let's Try. No melee attacks for this boss, just ranged. So in this case, the traps are the sharks and summoning minions. Again, some of these boss rage attacks seem almost impossible to dodge. The shield ability seems really powerful, especially when used in groups. See, the hardest part of this boss battle, and what makes it easy for me now that I'm playing as a boss, is my constant respawning barrier and all these powerful minions. And it's over. The AI had no chance. This boss feels like it's overpowered. Either reduce the respawn rate of the barriers or decrease the number of minions. All the other bosses feel roughly balanced, I say. Some feel more difficult than others. Many of their rage attacks. I know they're supposed to be powerful, but I suppose they're supposed to be dodgeable. But that may be because I'm playing with or against AI characters, so they're not as smart at splitting up. That's why each attack doesn't deal as much damage, because it's much harder to dodge. Once you start facing higher skill players, you need to be more careful with your ability usage. And I see the balance here. Melee units deal more damage per strike, but they have lower DPS, but they have more health. With the ranged units, they have more DPS, but they have less health. That boss rage attack seems dodgeable, but you need to be quick. Something I forgot to mention is that this game also has Twitch integration, and then players can help you around by summoning in minions on your side or on the boss's side. This seems like a nice boss for newbie characters. That, along with Fortress, that seems currently like the best boss so far out of the bunch and easiest to play. Unless you're facing a really skilled set of players and have a better selection of roles and abilities that complement each other. For instance, the laser attack is a lot less powerful if the characters are spread out more. When you set unlocked here, I believe what we unlock for each character are just more outfits. So overall, I really like this experience. It's currently in early access and it does show, we saw with those 2 broken chapters during the tutorial. But the local experience was pretty fun, although some of the bosses really need better balancing. Fortress was just overpowered to play against with a Viking crew. I like this game's low poly but highly detailed aesthetic, and the cartoony feel lends well to the varied environments and bosses in this game. It really opens up what new bosses and characters can be added in the future. This game is easy to pick up and play with the Vikings, and with some more effort, not that difficult to play with the bosses. And with all the synergies between the Vikings, as well as the boss abilities and the unique arenas, the skill ceiling of this game seems fairly high, but we'll have to see how the meta develops over time. Most importantly, to get the best experience with this game, play with a group of friends. I like how this game has the option of couch co-op, as well as playing with bots. This will be handy when the game's online servers eventually die out. So I wish the best of luck to the developers of this title. I may come back to play it in the future. Well then, thanks for watching, and have a nice day. Toodles!